Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Handhelds. I'm Joey, and today we're going to be taking a look at my last 30 days with the AYN Odin 2 Mini. This is my third video with a review type feel, and I just thought I would do a catch up after 30 days just to see if my first impressions and my review had matched my experience with the last 30 days. Reason being, I have used it extensively this month. It is actually one of only two devices that I've used this month, the other being the RG35XXSP, and I've beaten a few games on both by now. So I feel like I'm in a much better position to share anything that I found with regards to the Mini. If you're curious, I beat Pokemon Unbound for the third or fourth time now, and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for probably about the same, and I'm working my way through Pokemon Soul Silver on the DS, which again I think I've beat so many times by now, and Tales of the Abyss, which I have never beaten, so I'm working on that on PS2. But of course I've played a whole bunch of other games throughout as well. This is not going to be a long video, there is no reason to pad this one out. On the topic of the screen, when it comes to vignetting, I just stopped noticing it. It was a scenario where in that first week it became what everybody wanted to talk about, and I had to talk about it, of course, because it's a review and I have to share it. But playing actual games on this, last 30 days, I forgot about vignetting completely until today when I had to film a video about 30 days. So that's how vignetting has disappeared. Honestly, this is going to be one of those things that shows up in reviews, but when you actually get the device, you're like, why was it ever an issue? That's how I feel about it. Now, the same thing goes for blooming. I can still see blooming at different weird angles, like holding the device like this and putting it at high brightness and certain parts of the menu and all that sort of thing. But when I am actually playing a video game, when I'm staring at it normally and playing a game, there's no blooming at all that I can tell. Same thing as vignetting. They don't show up. It's just something that you can see at weird angles and all that. But playing the actual device, if it would bother me, I would let you know, but I just don't notice it. That's not to say that there aren't people out there that are very susceptible to blooming or vignetting, and they're probably going to take a magnifying glass and go right to this and find wherever they are. But playing the device, using it normally, just not a concern. And so this is all my personal opinion. I am so very excited to get my white Pro model still. There is absolutely nothing over the last 30 days that has made me not want that white model more and more. So I am with everybody else that is currently waiting for a shipping notice to get that device in because I'm very excited for it. And I hope that they come out with some more colors. I would love a blue. So AYN, blue, maybe, but we don't know. I'll probably have to grab that if they do it. And I hope they don't because then that's just more money. Catching up on the comfort and ergonomics front, and I basically changed the way that I hold devices, at least devices like this. So before I was holding it more like a claw grip, and there's no room there, there's no air between everything. You're just holding it normally like this, and everything's kind of enclosed. With this, because I play a lot of D-pad only games, as you saw with the games that I beat, I kind of hold it like it's a baby and you're scared and it might fall and you're like, I'm holding it, but like very scared to hold this, and then just using the D-pad as I go along. So I'm kind of holding it in a different way, and this is probably how most people hold it, I'm guessing, where you put your fingers in the back and then you're just kind of cradling it a little bit. That I found works quite a bit well for D-pad only games and the games that I've been playing. See, you thought I was joking when I say I play Game Boy Advance games on Odin 2 and Odin 2 Mini, but I'm not. That's exactly what I'm playing on these devices. But obviously you could do a whole bunch more. You can do GameCube and PlayStation 2 and Switch and upscale, and there's so much that you can do with the power that's in here. And it's no different than the Odin 2. It's the one thing that I found over the last 30 days. Performance is the exact same. However, thanks to the size of this, it makes it so much easier for me to throw this into my sling bag and then just off I go. So it's kind of been the one device that I've taken with me on the go wherever I've went in the last 30 days, which has been great. Now, all of this is sunshine and rainbows right now, and all of that is good. However, there are two negatives, and I did point these out in my impressions and review, and it's still negatives here, and that is the battery life and thermals. You're going to recall that I did some testing when it came to GameCube and Nintendo 64, as well as Switch. And I want to note that I do a lot of my gaming on the Odin 2 Mini with 100% brightness. And I don't know how many of you are as crazy as I am for that, but I love it. Late at night, I usually set it around 50% or 25 to 50% in that range, but during the day, I am always at 100%, especially if I'm outside and out on the go. Now that, plus the fan, equals a very rough battery life scenario. For example, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Soul Silver, and so naturally, I'm using fast forward basically 100% of the time. The brightness is at 100% and the fan is on smart. And battery life is definitely still in that 4 to 5 range, so it is coming down quite a bit compared to the Odin 2 in that regard. Now, if I turn off smart fan or I lower it to quiet, I can feel the heat of the device, and that doesn't feel great. The other issue is the fan's coil whine, and it's very apparent, especially on smart where it's not ramped up fully a lot of the time. It's a ringing in my ears, and that just makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, this whole issue is amplified because I am not having the volume on because I'm doing fast forward and it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I just don't want to hear that. And so you hear it a lot more. But in a normal scenario where you're playing a PS2, GameCube, Switch game, and the fan is on and it's normal and you're not fast forward and you have audio playing, you don't hear it and it's not really much of a concern. But in scenarios like fast forwarding and doing DS, like I mentioned, you can hear that coil whine, and that's kind of annoying. On the software front, there's been no issues that I found. Everything kind of just sort of works, and it feels exactly like the Odin 2. It's a nice change of pace compared to a lot of other devices that are just broken right out of the box, and you're like, how do I go and fix this, and this? On this, it's just Odin 2 all over again. It all just works. And we're at a very good stage because the software is mature at this point. We've kind of gone through a lot of the issues the Odin 2 had for software, and it's gone now. So we're at a good spot. I think overall I stand by what I said in my review. All of my positives and negatives are still the exact same. Nothing has really changed over the last 30 days, except maybe the 2 negatives that I mentioned with battery and thermals. Those are just a little bit more apparent at this point, but things that I can deal with, especially with how fast this charges. Didn't even mention that, and I keep forgetting to test it, but this goes from 0 to 100% battery in super quick time, so it's not even a concern if you have any sort of plug near you. With how small this is and the power in it, I've kind of stopped caring about a lot of other devices at this point. The same thing that happened with the Odin 2, except now it's in a different form factor, and so a lot of other devices are suffering for it, like the RG Cube that still hasn't made its way to me, but I just can't bring myself to care about that either way. There's just no reason that's ever going to take over from what this can do, especially. Even the pocketability is great because I can just throw this in my sweatpants or my lounge pants and it fits, and I can just walk around the house with it in my pockets, and that is awesome. Now, the better value purchase is still and always going to be the Odin 2. It is cheaper, it is bigger, doesn't have concerns with heat or thermals or battery and all of that. So if you're still wondering, what do I buy, the Mini or the Odin 2, then just buy the Odin 2. There's no reason not to. However, if you're like me and you've been wanting something a lot more portable and pocketable-ish, and still has all of that power, and maybe you don't mind having to charge it a little bit more often and dealing with the heat issues, then this is still a great choice, although you're going to pay a little bit more for it. Not much else to say. The Mini is still excellent 30 days later, and that's how I'm going to leave this off. And that's going to be it for this one. Like I said, a very quick video, no reason to make this a Netflix special, just want to share my thoughts after 30 days. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to chat about the Odin 2 Mini and other handhelds. Support me on Patreon if you like my stuff. And hope you all have a good one.